And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and good day. This is Connor and Callum with the Unplugged Podcast number 48. And today we're actually doing it at a different time than we normally do. We're streaming live on Thursday evening because our guest, is from the Northern Hemisphere, and the time zone is much more favorable. And today we have business energetics creator, Lenka Lutonska. Where are you joining us from?
Well, I live near London.
All the way from the
Wow.
UK. Amazing. And I'll let Callum tell the world a little bit more about you.
Hey guys, tonight we have an amazing guest. Lenka Lutonska is a globally recognized business and mindset strategist, best-selling author of Energetic Selling and Marketing, and founder of the Business Energetics Academy. She helps women and scale soul-led businesses by combining deep inner work with smart strategy. Originally from Slovakia, Lenka's journey from McDonald's employee to international coach is a story of resilience, reinvention, and extraordinary growth. Lenka, it's amazing to have you here on the Unplugged Podcast. Lenka, so you're in the UK right now. It fascinates me that you went from being a McDonald's employee to now being an international coach and international author. That seems like quite a distance from one of these places to another. Can you share a little bit about that story and how that possibly came to be?
Absolutely. Well, I ended up working for McDonald's for 6 years, just a way to support myself because I originally come from Slovakia and I always had this big dream, like many do, to be of a service to other people. In my naive mind, I'm going to change the world, person by person, group by group, I guess. So because my family wanted me to follow a traditional path, go to university, go to decent job, go to work in the bank, and I refused it. I rebelled. I said no. So the summer when the university was supposed to start, I came to the UK on the excuse that I need to learn more English, and I never came back. So I ended up working for McDonald's to really support myself. I didn't have no money. I was immigrant. I had no language. So that's how I ended up there. But it deeply supported me for 6 years while I then went and studied human mind because I was serious about I want to help other people. I needed to help myself as well. I know many will appreciate that we sometimes need to start with us. So I studied counseling, hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, and ultimately NLP. This is when I felt equipped enough to leave the job and started my own business. And the journey of my business took me to where am I today, connecting spirituality and soul with solid business strategy for growth beyond logic.
Growth beyond logic. I love that. We'll tap into that shortly. But there's a similarity. My first job, I think my first job was at Burger King. I worked at Burger King when I was like 14, 15. And it taught me a lot, actually, that I took with me in my later career, ironically. So way back then, working with McDonald's, what even back then, what are you still using now as you? We'll get into just how much of an impact you have made and are making in this world, but all the way back then in the early days, what are you still carrying from that time?
I love that question. And I love that you actually can appreciate that fast food companies can be still great companies, because typically this question goes, oh, worked for McDonald's, like a down job. No, it was a great experience, great company, and great for definitely leadership development. As in, I remember when I started, I was very eager, very young, I wanted to succeed. The company allowed me to do that because I was so hungry. But when I started, I was nervous. I was shouting. I I just wanted to get the stuff done, but I didn't know how to work with people, how to. So definitely, it helped me to become far greater leader for
Yes.
sure. So that's I'm still using it many 20 years later,
Yes.
and other things such as attention to detail.
Mm,
That
mm.
McDonald's and fast food companies, they have got extremely small profit margins, so they need to pay attention to detail in
Yes.
terms of grams. And I would like to say that I'm excellent with detail. I might be not, but over time I learned just how important it is to have, if I don't like too much detail, how important it is to have people around you and systems around you that really do the detail.
The
And
importance of it.
lastly, because it was always drilled into my mind as I was leading restaurants and profitability upwards, is no matter what you do, it is you're in a business because you are meant to be profitable, which
Mhm.
sometimes, even for me, when I started a business, it becomes almost, yes, I want to help people. It's about the me. So we put profits later. Yet I've learned from there, and I still believe it, that if it doesn't matter how purpose driven we are,
Mm,
if we are not really putting profit as one of the, not maybe top value,
mm.
but one of the top values, there is no way forward for anyone. So no matter what I do, I always make sure it's profitable, full stop.
What incredible learnings, even from that many years ago. And I think Callum and I say, if you're not, if you're in business and you're making money, you have a hobby.
Yes, and it's, yes, you have a hobby, and I'm I'm very purpose driven, as many
Mm,
others are, and I used to be in that loop, that I want to help, so I'm going to make everything cheap, and as cheap as possible, so everyone can afford it. But actually, what we're doing then is we're just pushing people up the hill, and we're saving people, and we're getting exhausted on a way, and
mm.
it's just never ever sustainable. So stay in this cycle of being tired, exhausted, and resentful. Why am I working so hard? And I want to help others, but it's not working well because you're not putting profits and yourself and your business first. Yes.
Great insights. Those, it in the field that you're in, does that sometimes, is that a bit of a wake up call for some people? Because I get it, Cal gets it, but and we're in an industry that is purpose driven. Cal and I are purpose driven, and we have a lot of community members who are purpose driven, and a lot of people in our networks who are purpose driven. And what you just said can sometimes make people feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
How do you? I mean, we're getting straight into it now. What do you
Absolutely.
say to individuals who, it's like consciously they know this consciously, but
Yes.
inside it's still, there's a restriction, there's maybe inner conflict, there's doubts about if
Yes.
it's the right thing, and am I
Yes.
doing the right thing if I put others, myself before others in my business? So
Yes.
how would you talk to them? What sort of conversation would you have with someone to sort of help them turn that switch on or flick it?
I totally get it. Beautiful question. It's how we frame it in our mind. It's belief system that we have around certain things, and I totally get it that putting ourselves first and putting our business first can come across as selfish. Or most of us were brought up with big emphasis. You cannot be selfish because selfish is ugly thing to do. Today, many years later, I changed my mind or belief system about what it means to be selfish. Yes, selfish can be, I'm going to make myself more than someone else, more than my clients, more people I serve. I'm going to put myself on a pedestal, and I'm going to, you're less than me, or everything is less than me. And no matter what, I'm the selfish. I call this archetype ice queen or
Hmm.
ice king, rather, so I'm better than. And or selfish can mean serving self. And when we think about what the self is, what the core of self is, is our divine self. It's our soul. It's our spirit. And you know what? I will be very happy, devoted to spirit, because I know when I'm serving self and the heart first, I'm more aligned, more connected, more full. And from that space, I can be, this is the metaphor, the lighthouse, isn't it? You know, the lighthouse can shine. So it's all about the way we frame or have these mindsets around things. So you know, what we're talking about here is masculine energy and putting ourselves first, you know, feminine energy. So I would say, when you know that something might help you or your business, but you have inside conflict about it, really inspect what that conflict is, what specifically you're telling yourself, because that's that which you're telling yourself and makes makes you to justify yourself that you're not going to do the right thing. That can keep you small forever. So it's worthwhile to really inspect our limiting beliefs and mindsets around things.
It's
100%. Hey, it's so true, because it seems to be one of the first hurdles that people need to leap across. I think everybody gets into, and I say everybody is a generalization, but a lot of the people that we have worked with in the past get into coaching, get into training because they want to serve, they want to help people. Like you said, they want to help them heal. They want to offer them guidance. They want to help them break through. They want to help them transform. And
Yes.
all of those things seem to come first, and they put the business aspect of things last. And I often say to people, some of the most talented coaches and trainers I know, no one knows who they are, because they don't know how to do business. They don't know how, like you said, to put profits first. Because without profits, without you don't have a business, and you can't possibly continue to do the great work that you do. So one of the things that I'm most passionate about is helping those people, and Connor's passionate about helping those people actually transform that thinking, reframe that thinking, like you said, insert new beliefs that are empowering beliefs. But there still seems to be this kind of guild of people that try to keep each other disempowered by pointing out when somebody's charging this amount or charging that amount. And I'm not sure if you've found this too. It's almost like they find their little community, and then they, you know, almost point to people who are successful and say, well, that's because they're greedy, or that's because they only care about themselves. That's because they only care about one big one that Connor and I always hear is, they only care about sales. They only care about, you know, how many enrollments they get or what have you. Do you think that that's a innate thing that's built into people that lean towards becoming coaches, or do you think that's something that they, you know, were brought up with? I know you've touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious as to why people from this industry that we all love are in this position where they just get so stuck on this thing. I really don't understand it, because it's not how I was brought up. So
Yes.
do you have any more insights on that?
Sure, I think so. Well,
You've
this
got a
is
book.
yes, it's many what I call change makers took this poverty vow, and that's purely because society taught us. It's in a global matrix, the unwritten rule that when you're helping someone, you've got to suffer. Mother Teresa, you know, we take just bits and pieces that suit this narrative that helping and thriving don't go together. You need to make
That's a
yourself
good
less
point. That's a
than.
really, really good point.
Right.
That is a good
So,
point.
so we need to again just acknowledge that it doesn't have to be that way. Even if we start with looking for examples where it's not true anymore. I mean, you gentlemen are doing amazing, and you are of a massive service to many people. So you're just one powerful example out of many where is no longer needs to be true, where we cannot thrive and really powerfully supporting and be of service to someone. And then uh, to me, experience is teaching us how when we do not put ourselves first and our business and profits first, when we do not, where it actually leads to less help to others and more suffering for us. I've experienced teaching us that it's not supposed to be this way. I was there, and maybe many of your listeners were there before, where I was tired, exhausted, sick, literally getting into burn cycle where I was going, and then burnout because I was working so much for so little reward. It's unsustainable. It creates sickness. It creates sacrifice. It creates resentment even towards clients. It's simply not healthy. And here is the thing: when we start putting profits first and us first, and when we ask, and I've got great little formula if that's going to be of use for others, that is so simple, how to come out with what I call aligned pricing, which is
Okay,
always,
that'd be cool.
yes, which is of course profitable pricing as well. When we do that, what we'll create, now I'm thinking at things always energetically, but we create like a threshold for potential clients to go, not from the place of, oh, I can do that, that's cheap, so I'm going to try it. Do we want our clients to try things? I don't know. I don't. I don't. I want clients to be committed. I want clients to be in a place where they want to really create change. So that's what price point does. It goes from the threshold from maybe trying, lack of commitment, into I'm all in. And not only that, it goes from that he, she, that can do it for me to I'm going to do my work. And this will
Yes.
support me. So rather than from being pushed up that hill to
That's an
being
important distinction.
self-empowered, absolutely,
That's
to be
that's a really
self-empowered.
important distinction. A really important distinction. What you just said then, for everybody listening, is a really powerful distinction between having a great client and having one that you just feeling dragged through the dirt with. You know,
Yes.
having that to push all the time and push them up the hill, it's a sure, fast way to deplete your energy and get burnt out, like you said. And
Yes.
I love what you said about attracting clients who go, it's not that person that's going to save me. I'm going to do the work and you're going to help guide the way. I love that. That's fantastic.
Yes, yes. So over time I learned, and this I consider it to be one of the business energetics principle, and that is that what is right for me and my business is right for everyone.
What a belief to
Is
hold.
best thing for everyone. But it's a great belief to hold. But when you even think about it, even logically, isn't it so? I mean, I had one family member, dear family member. I was trying to save him, really help him when he was going through tough time, addictions, this and that. So I was there supporting money, this, that, just giving him. What do you think happened to the addiction? What do you think happened to their life?
No
It
change.
just went from bad to worse
Yeah.
because it just doesn't work. But and then I realized I'm the one who it's costing me emotionally and in other ways to do this. So I'm asking myself question: what is right for me? Really selfishly, what is right for me? Well, it came to hard choices. Not let him be supported by me. Not let. So I said, right, you are now on your own. Very hard thing to do, but it was the right thing for me. Initially, was he angry, resentful? Yes. In a medium long term, it changed his life. It changed his life, and he came to thank me. And now we've got beautiful relationship, and he's completely different place because I asked myself a question: what is right for me? And if we think about this, if we're honest with ourselves, this is how it works in business, with clients, with helping others. What is right for us is right for everyone involved, not immediately, not in a short term, not easy, but right, yes.
This is great. I'm really liking the psychology that you're bringing tonight. And I in regards to Carl Jung archetypes, is there an archetype of the helper?
Well, yes, I call her, or it's like the whore, the prostitute archetype. Yes, the prostitute archetype. It's very, and this is gender neutral, I think, but we do all have that aspect in ourselves where we are searching the sense of values. Who am I? Sense of value horizontally through other people, through that, oh, you're amazing, thank you, through, can you help me? Yes, 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 thank you, you're so helpful, you're amazing coach. I used to be called by many of my clients in past coaching mama, Lenka is there for you 24/7, because yes, and I feel great. I feel good about being called that way. It gives me sense of value, or through those testimonials, or through those results, or through those numbers, or through the fact that clients is growing. So that's the archetype where we're sourcing that value externally.
Yes.
Therefore, it motivates us towards those choices, decisions, and behaviors that are not healthy for our business,
Yeah.
that are not healthy even for the client. But we've got to fulfill that, to have that value or feel that value. So that's what we need to flip the switch on.
I was thinking, when you think of the word helper, you do not think leader naturally. Well,
yes,
maybe one does, but if I think, oh, they're helping, you don't think, oh, they're a leader. You think it is sacrificial. Immediately you go to sacrificial. And in my head, if there was an archetype of the helper that Carl Jung had created, I had this vision, this image of, you can't see my hands, but placater hands. I'm helping. Can I help you? And it doesn't really conjure up leadership. It doesn't really conjure up, I'm going to transform you. It conjures up, I'll be at your service, which is a lovely, I guess it's very noble. But how much are you helping the person? So I have a quad, just a question. When we talk about putting profits first and ourselves first, from one side of the fence, we can see it. From the other side of the fence, I'd like to unpack that just for our listeners and what that actually means. Because when you hear the word put profit first, in the newspaper, for example, when you hear a big corporation they're putting profits first, it has a negative connotation, and it thinks, well, I'll do whatever it takes in order to make money, even if I have to screw someone over, even if I have to take advantage of someone. So that conjures up profits first. I guess how we view it is profits first means, will I put an offer out? I'm only going to put an offer out if I'm going to make money on it. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm taking advantage of people. It means whatever I do, I need to make sure I'm making money. So could we unpack that just a little bit for our listeners who may be listening to this and thinking, oh, profits first. The big corporations do profits first, and they wreck the environment, and they pay their workers low wages, and they put their profits first. So we obviously want to make sure that we're in a different camp. We're using the same language, but we're on the different side of the bank there.
Yes. Well, for me, the profits first itself is not an issue. We made it an issue. It's a powerful, powerful thing and principle. Perhaps what comes before what we're selling and how we're selling it, profit first on what? That's an issue, because these corporations that we have in our minds, or people with no integrity, that I sell whatever, this is the mindset of, I call it distorted masculine energy, which, again, I'm a woman, I have distorted masculine. We all have certain level, as in, there's the thinking where I'm going to think, how do I make money? Selling whatever, selling to whoever. How am I going to make money? So I'll make sure it's profitable. So I don't care if I believe in the product or not. I don't believe if it's really useful or not. I'm going to make money. Then profit first is an issue. But that's because in the first place, we didn't choose the product or service in a way that we dearly love, and it's creative rather than reactive, mimicking environment, looking for the profit and so forth. But if the profit first is applied to, again, could be aligned product or service, meaning if I didn't care, this is a pure creative consciousness. If I didn't care whether it will work or not, or I assume it's going to work, if I, how do I really desire to help people? What do I really want to create? What do I really want to bring to this world? When when that expands our heart and it's like, oh my goodness, I can see this. When we apply profit first to that, then it's not issue, it's the very, I believe, spiritual thing to do.
I really like that
Does it make
explanation.
sense?
Get it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That
Well, hopefully
distinction
our
between the
listeners will get it. So
This is
they'll
good.
start
This is good.
thinking more powerfully.
it's that distinction between profits being first and then before that the product or the service and the person offering it having integrity. And I think that distinction makes a lot of sense to me. And yeah, it's just, I think the world of coaching and training and healing and therapy need to hear this conversation, because we need more of those people out there. We need more of them to be profitable. We need more of them to run successful businesses, because there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of people that need the support, need the help, need the transformations. And that this sticking point seems to be something that just comes up again and again and again and again. Before you noticed, you actually mentioned that you had a formula for the pricing of your services. Without giving too much away, you can share what you feel comfortable with. But I'd love to hear a little bit about that formula and how you think about that, because what I've noticed just from the short time we've been talking now is you've put so much thought into this, and there's so much clarity in your message. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about pricing.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Callum, before we continue, I just want to say, ask anything. I'm not one of those. Let's just give a little bit. I give freely. I give freely. So pricing formula, and it's very simple. It's very, maybe too simple. Some will think, oh, it's too simple to work. So this is a question you want to ask yourself and trust the first intuitive guidance that comes through. So what you want to think of to price really, really powerfully is, well, first have on your mind a really ideal client. And I don't mean just good client. I mean incredible 5-star client, the one that you work with and they give you energy. So have on your mind your super ideal client, and of course have on your mind what you currently are going to sell, what you're going to offer, and what is the purpose of that. Is it the purpose sharing? Because that's, you're going to price it differently than if you're going to sell and offer something for the highest possible impact. Yes. So let's say the high level coaching services, packages, programs, and so forth, typically you want to create an impact, really, really deep impact. You're giving it a lot of thought, you're putting lots of energy, you want to transform people's lives. So you're going to price it differently. Whereas if you are in energy of sharing, like right now, that can be free, that can be £5 or dollars or whatever it might be, and so forth. So ask yourself, what is the purpose of this offering? That's quite important. But when it comes to pricing for impact, and which is also impact for business, right? We want to make sure that we expand the business and the clients as well. So when it comes to aligned pricing for that, then when you hold in mind your ideal client, and when you hold in your mind what is this for, it's for the highest impact, then you're going to ask yourself simply, how much does my super ideal client need to invest in this so that, number one, they can actually see the value of what is being offered? Because pricing creates perception. Full stop.
Correct.
It could be the diamond, but if it's wrapped in a newspapers, they can't see the diamond, and that's what often times we do. We wrap our diamonds. So how much does my client need to invest so they can see the value that this holds? How much they need to invest so they can essentially invest themselves fully, to commit, surrender, not try. We don't want to try, and that I am generously rewarded, profitable. So these three prerequisites, we just ask, and the number will come. And that first number is typically the right, intuitive, it's right number. You can go after it on that number with logic, but you'll find that actually that's the great pricing point for the highest level impact. It may make us uncomfortable if you're new to this, or you've been in that helper archetype for a long time and burned out. So it may make you feel uncomfortable for sure, but you'll find out that's the right pricing point. Yes.
So is there, so we've got the price. Is there a factor in that where, I guess what we're talking about is constraints. You're looking at, when you're talking about, is this making me profitable? It's also lending to the idea of, is this serving me as well? Is this serving the type of life I want to live? Is this serving the way that I want to invest my time each week? Because one of the reasons people get burnt out is because they do so many one-on-ones, they can't keep up with them all. They don't have time to do sales and marketing, and all of a sudden they're just, full to the brim with all the different caps that they're wearing within the business. Is it also what you're talking about? Is it also about being really comfortable with the constraints that you set? Because I picked up on something you were saying before with the relationship. I think it was with your brother or your stepbrother who was an alcoholic or had alcohol issues.
And there are lots of details we filled in. That was not my brother, it's anonymous, but yes, there was addiction.
Yeah. So pardon me for that.
No, it's
but
okay. Just want to protect, because I do have a brother,
Okay, yeah. But you were essentially saying that you were setting these boundaries and these constraints, and you had to be okay with that first, and then that provided the fact that everyone in the world will want that. That is kind of a level of trust that people need to have in making those decisions. And that's no small thing, because I think that when people set those constraints, when they're not consistently available for everybody at every second of the day, it does. And I'm thinking about myself here, because there has been times where I've tried to overgive. I've tried to be omnipresent for everybody, been available and given access to me whenever they've needed it, in order to help their businesses grow. But what you're saying is by being more comfortable with creating these constraints and having these boundaries and welcoming everybody to be okay with that, is the way forward. That requires a lot of trust.
Yes.
That it's going to work out. And it also requires trust in the fact that the right people are going to come your way. Talk to me about that trust. Talk to me about that psychology, and also that ability to have faith, because I think that trust leads to faith that it's going to work out, it's going to be okay, and people are going to respect you for it.
Okay. Callum, huge question. So let's see. One by one, I'm inspired to share a little story from my journey first. And I'm going back approximately a decade ago, where I was in a very bad place in my life, in my business. I was recovering at the time from a complete loss of my business to a psychopath. So bankruptcy, if you like. And for 2 solid years, I was trying to rebuild my business, and I had a young family. The finances were extremely tight. My marriage was in crisis because of the pressure, financial pressure, and I was working so hard, 15 hours a day. I was really in this archetype. I've got to make this work. And no matter what I did, No matter what, I did every networking event you can think of. I did free speaking gigs. I was committed. I was hardworking. Things were not shifting. I was not getting clients. And one of those networking events I attended to, and every time I went to these networking events, I would have to say, of course, I can NLP trained, master trainer, master, coach. I can help you with this, So this was on a surface, and I would then go into car and cry because nothing again, not a leader. They would say, Lenka, you're amazing or whatever, but nothing much was happening. And one of those times I was driving home and I was crying my eyes out because I had such a deep desire to help others. It wasn't just about money and just not about not struggling financially. It wasn't just about that. It was just there is so much here and it wanted to come out, and it hurt so much that it's still here. So I was really asking God, what does it take? What does it actually take to succeed by doing something with your love? Or is it that I'm doomed? Is it that I'm not meant to succeed? I mean, if it was supposed to happen, it was meant to happen. Is there something genuinely wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me. And in that, during the drive, I experienced what is one of the little, almost like divine interventions, because I just had this, call it thought, call it voice, call it whatever it might be inside, but it very, very strongly said, almost like if the spirit or God or talk to you and say, I would never ever plant desire in your heart if you were not meant to live it. That which you see in your mind and heart is not that which you want, it's that which you meant to live. And that, because I felt it viscerally, it stayed with me. Nothing wrong with me. It's just journey is not complete. So I'm going to, what if I allow myself to believe in that unseen, in what I see inside, the desire in my heart, more than what I see, the lack, the struggle, this and that. What would happen? I went with that. From that message, I told myself I'm going to believe in unseen, what is in my heart, the mission, the vision, the desire, more than what I see around me. And that led me to first, initially, just not give up, just take a small step. And that led me to bigger steps and leaps of faith. And that led me to what I believe is now really fulfilling my mission on this earth. So it's not easy, but just that idea, what if that unseen, that desire in my heart is not what I want? I'm meant to live it. This is my soul talking, and I allow myself to believe more than my doubts. I allow myself to believe more than my fears. I allow myself to believe that more than what I see. I found that life-changing.
Yes, that's fire.
That is fire. That is absolute fire. And for me, what you're speaking to there is the faith and guidance that comes from somewhere other than this physical world. And Connor and I dabble in this every single day when we're doing business, because we find every single time that we're dealing with problems in our physical experience, in our business, in this tangible world that we live in. It often, and nearly always, and probably more always than not, it has something to do with us not being aligned energetically or spiritually with our vision, or with our I guess our inner soul, if you will.
Yes.
And as soon as we banter with each other, we sort of feed off each other, and we go, what's this really about? What's going on? Like, why aren't you feeling aligned? Why aren't you feeling congruent? What does this block represent to you? What is this situation that's seemingly out there? What is it what are you drawing meaning from it? What sort of meaning are you applying to it? And as soon as we get clear on those things, it's like you get those goosebumps on your arms and the back of your neck, and wow, I needed to get that learning, just like you had that experience in the car. I needed to get that insight of that learning. I needed to fall back in alignment with myself in order to be able to go to the next level in business. And I think that a big part of business is about fully becoming who you're meant to be, your true self, living in alignment with your higher self. And that's why it feels so tough sometimes, because you haven't become that person yet. And if you're being honest with yourself, you know where those things are. And business, sales, marketing, clients force us to grow through that, because we do want to have a better life. We do want to have a greater impact. We do want to serve more people. So that was really fascinating. I really appreciate that you shared that story with us, because it runs in parallel very strongly with what Connor and I think.
Callum, and if I may add to that, this is beautiful. What you said is those learnings, that alignment on the way, that faith and belief. That's what happens when we allow ourselves to make the business, and this is what I believe the business is meant to be. It's definitely for you as well, and that is that it's meant to be the creative outlet for our soul, for our highest version of self. Right. And that, because it's the outlet through business, we are learning to express what is really in us, all of it in us. Going back to your initial question, that includes, yes, being of a massive purpose to others, give to others, contribute, but also that includes expressing life or energy in all the ways that are aligned with us. Meaning, for some, it's luxury, it's beauty, it's travel, it's having family and a beautiful life, it's having time for hobbies, it's multidimensional success. And again, that too is spiritual. Many of us learned to put in a hierarchy, well, helping others is righteous, it's over here, but looking after myself, enjoying beautiful things, if I like beauty, or having time off or travel, whatever it might be, ooh, that makes me somewhat less, that's less. But it's still expression of the energy, it's still expression of the soul. That's why we like it. And the God in us, the source in us, never differentiates what's better or worse. It's also form of energy and expression. So yes, this is why I believe it absolutely should be that when we are helping other people through other business, it should be in a way that is not just powerfully supporting them, but is powerfully supporting us and our families and so forth.
At the same time.
Yes.
Is this where the birth of business energetics came? Are we talking business energetics here?
Yes, we're very much talking business
your
energetics. Yes.
Copyrighted, your intellectual property. This is exclusively Lenka, business energetics. Are we moving in that direction now?
Absolutely. I mean, business energetics, it may be my IP, but it's just a phrase that to me encapsulates or where the business is generally going over the next, it's already happening. We all feel it, right?
I see it too. I see it too.
Yes. So where it started, it's during that period, the toughest period of my life, and somewhere after that moment in the car. So I continued, and I was searching again, how do I position myself, how do I rebuild my business? And the question again popped in my mind, and that was, if you didn't care what other people thought of you, if you didn't care how you perceived, what would you do? And I knew it immediately. It was the message given to me: connect spirituality and business. Help others make the business the outlet for the soul by connecting the healthy masculine and feminine energy, connecting the strategy and energy, connecting the action and purpose, marrying, creating the divine union. So that's what business energetics is.
When you're talking about that, I think a lot about Carl Jung's idea of the anima and the animus.
Yes.
He talks about, as you get closer to self, you pass the shadow, then you have this balancing of the anima and the animus, which is essentially the masculine and feminine energies that live within us all, and integrating and balancing those takes us closer to self. With the capital S. I love where you're going with this, but I just want to know that I'm on the right track. You're essentially saying that people can utilize, and this is what I'm seeing happening more broadly at the moment, people can utilize business as a spiritual development or almost a spiritual awakening tool.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. When you've been experiencing, many of us experience it. This is what is meant to be. Yes, creative outlet for the soul. So really, truly, you said it. When we take the business for that, suddenly there are no clients. I'm over here. You're my potential customer. These are reflections of our consciousness, and our clients will become our mirrors. So we only experience who we are. Our business is my mirror, So whatever patterns I personally experience in my business, if there's something I don't like, I know first and foremost I'm going to have a look over here, and through that, it's what is the better, more focused growth than through our business.
Absolutely. Was it David who said owning a business is one of the most spiritual things you can do in the world? Or was it sales?
I think he said it. It was, sales and business is a hands-on spiritual act, he said.
Sales and business is a hands-on spiritual act. It absolutely is. You find out more about yourself in that growth period than you would if you read any book, if you sat down and listened to anyone lecture to you. Doing it and being up against it is when you have that growth. And I think this is something we spoke about offline before, where it's when you're up against it and you're having the conversations with yourself. So you had that moment in the car and you had that clarity, that spark. And from that point onwards, something changed within you, and therefore the outside of you changed. Even that, you're still up against it. Probably anyone, I said this, anyone who's willing to be a tall poppy in the world, anyone who's willing to put themselves out there and make themselves, quote, vulnerable to others judging or whatever it is, there is something inside that has to override the old conditioning of logic, which would be to stay small.
Yes.
What is it? Can I have your insights and thoughts on what is it for yourself that has helped you push past the logic of staying small, which is what we are indoctrinated into growing up?
Yes, and you're right. We're being asked as entrepreneurs, change makers, constantly walk through that threshold when life asks us not just to believe. We think we believe in that vision, but actually be embodiment of that. Like, yes, show me, demonstrate that you believe in your mission, that you believe in what you said. So we constantly walk through that through the threshold. For me, yes, definitely. What helped me over time, well, number one was this, I've simply made a decision that I'm going to trust the desires in my heart as it's God-given and it's meant to be. So trust that unseen more than seen. So that's number one, that guided me very well. Also, secondly, because every time we walk through the threshold, every time we do something really meaningful for our business, for our lives, in selling, every time we do something really meaningful that is aligned with that greatest success, that is aligned with that highest version of self, is going to take us into discomfort. Full stop.
Yeah.
It's going to take us outside of ease. It's just going to happen. So when we are at the threshold, I number one, remind myself that I love that. So that's definitely energy of devotion and love to my mission, to my vision, but also the truth telling, meaning I've done this exercise plenty times for myself, and I suggest for my clients, just do this. It's uncomfortable, but essentially truth telling to ourselves, meaning, and you use this in sales sometimes, I think it's very common in sales, to realizing what is it gonna cost me if I don't cross the threshold? What is it gonna cost me if I don't make myself uncomfortable? What is it gonna cost me if I'm not going to believe unseen more than seen? What is it gonna truly cost me? Not just over next week, maybe over next year, or 3 or 5. What is it gonna cost me financially? What is it going to cost me spiritually? What is it going to cost me emotionally, mentally? And you'll find out when you will do truth telling that, you know what, I think I rather will be willing to get uncomfortable here.
In the
I
now. Yes.
learned to love that place of discomfort, pain, hardship, call it what you like. It's precious. That pressure, it's precious. That's what grows us. That's what grows everything.
What you said was bang on. It reminds me, I've heard it somewhere. I don't know where I heard it, but someone said one time, choose your hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Choose your hard.
Yes.
It can be
Yes.
hard now, or it can be hard later on. It's going to be hard at some point.
Absolutely. You know, we are in personal development community and those that are purpose-driven entrepreneurs. We've been so brainwashed that which is aligned is going to be easy.
That's exactly. I get that all the time. Oh, it wasn't meant to happen. Like as soon as things get hard, it wasn't meant to happen.
Right.
The annoying thing is a lot of the people that say that are the spiritual virtuous people who say, "Oh, the universe just didn't want me to have it," or, you know, it was obviously a sign that it wasn't meant for me. Yeah, that's kind of drives me mad. The amount of times it's happened to me and I've bumped up against that roadblock that I could have just walked away and lived a life of like
the jellyfish.
Just yeah.
Isn't that amazing how we can make ourselves victim to even the most incredible things such as the universe?
I mean, I think it's when you believe, like Cal and I say, we're tapping into the infinite source of energy around us. We're tapping into the universe who will tap into this energy. But we've never said, "Oh, Callum, we didn't achieve this. I guess we weren't meant to have it." I guess the universe has you know, the universe is telling us not to do it. I mean, but I'm just hearing myself say this. It's quite funny. I had some big events happen to me, and even in my language, you know, a big mentor of mine, Tad, passed away. 6 months, a year. A year and 6 months later, my dad passed away, and then 6 weeks after my dad passed away, I broke my leg. But the decision I made when I broke my leg was a decision I'd been thinking about for a while, and I say the universe did this to me. The universe, I created it. I just didn't want to admit it to myself.
You are the universe.
I have to have that knock. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, we create what we create sometimes. Sometimes I believe that that we self-manifest or create these even tragedies. You know, and so it's not everything that is. Oh, I've been doing something wrong. The fact that you broke your leg, it's caused you to really be at that really alchemical point in your life when you had to ask yourself it maybe that was pre-designed. So there is such a thing as I can experience negative things or self-manifest negative things, so that, you know, it
Yes,
can help
I
me to
believe
fulfill
that.
my purpose 100%. But that doesn't mean that we're going to be just waiting for everything to align and for the universe to align and
No,
our
the funny thing
to
is that
align, to be ready, to be ease. That's being victim, passive.
it is. It really is. I mean, I say, oh,
yes.
the universe, obviously, the universe had other plans, and that's why this happened to me. But deep down inside, I knew that this was a decision I wanted to make. I just hadn't made it. And
Yes.
and this it was me saying, make the decision, Connor.
I was talking to an amazing client today, and we were talking about the universal model of change, which is, you know, going along, everything's normal. We call that AB, and then you know, you have that crisis and you drop down to C.
Yes.
And then you go back up to D, which is like the new level, a little bit higher than what AB was.
Yes.
She actually said, you know, that's the unconscious universal model of change. That's when you
Yes.
don't listen to the signs. You don't
Correct.
see the incoming projections. You don't see this thing told me, then this thing told me, this thing told me. I was thinking in my head and then snap. She said, there's also the opportunity when you see those things coming in, to make the conscious decision to change and do it from joy, do it from love, do it from devotion, and skip the pain of that unconscious universal model of change.
Absolutely, that's beautiful. Yes, and flip the weights of the pain in the mind, because if we are going between A and B, A and B, A and B, that means that we perceive the pain of change, the discomfort,
Correct.
to be greater than the pain of where we are. So this is where we're going to be honest with ourselves and find out the exact cause, how it's actually hurting us, to not make change, to not make ourselves comfortable, to not choose our heart. So that's beautifully said. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't claim that one. Shout out to Gulsha. She's an amazing thought leader as well.
It's the dog. It's the dog on the nail metaphor, isn't it? It really is. We will sit on a nail and be uncomfortable, and we'll only get off the nail when it hurts enough. And that's
yes.
how
And
many
since we're
live,
talking about that,
myself included sometimes.
Me too, mate.
Since we're talking about that, it's also we're all intelligence. We can choose our level of heart, right? It doesn't have to be every time going through the terror barrier, even though sometimes, I mean, I'm the crazy one. Some of us are crazy. We'll go through the terror barrier, but it's not essential. It's literally the same thing as it's in, let's say, exercise, building the muscle, making ourselves stronger. That progressive overload works just as well as going full on and something crazy that can disintegrate our nervous system for a while, but ultimately it will work out. So that needs to be said as well. Doesn't have to be that hard. Just choose your heart and consistently.
Courage seems to be the word that pops up for me right now. A definition of courage that I like is moving forward even when you have fear. And I guess it comes down to trust, doesn't it? It comes down to that faith that we were talking about before, the belief that you're on the right path, and that if you're doing something that is truly aligned with your inner self, you will be on the right path and you will be okay, and you're gonna have a journey, but you're gonna come out the other side better.
Beautiful.
This is fascinating. This time has gone really, really quickly, Lenka, and I know that you have a busy day planned. Where can people find you? Where we have people, a lot of our audiences are in Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, and the US and Canada. Where can people find you? Have you traveled to these parts of the world? Do you do live? Do you do online? What's the?
But we will. But I have. Well, I don't want to say plenty, but percentage of Australian clients, which is amazing. So
Awesome.
sometimes I do the training calls, etc., in the morning, so we can serve our audience in that side of the world. First and foremost, I want to say it's been absolute pleasure talking to you. Absolute pleasure.
Oh yeah,
and
we've loved this.
To talk a little bit about the business energetics. Thank you. Hopefully our listeners got value from this. I would love to hear just one. What are you taking? One thing, please let us know, because I think as a people, certainly me as a woman, not necessarily business energetics leader, want to hear. And where to find more about the business energetics and my work, well, there's website lenkalutonska.com. There is book on Amazon, Energetic Selling and Marketing, which is my first book. So it's Introduction to Business Energetics. It was written for women, but it's perfectly beautiful for gentlemen as well. Business energetics is for everyone. It's just I started in my initial years working with women exclusively because I lost my business to men, so I was hurt. If you like, that's changing.
That's
Yes.
Is it? And it's lenkalutonska.com or .co.uk or .com?
.com.
I'm putting it in the chat of the
or even businessenergetics.com should go directly there. I bought the domain.
We'll also have it in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll have it in the show notes.
Thank you.
As well.
And yes, autumn this year, we will see the first Business Energetics Global Summit online. maybe you can join us, gentlemen, as one of the
We'd love
speakers.
to.
We'd love to. When is this,
Next
and how can people be involved?
year, I will get in touch with you on that. But next year we're in Dubai, so that's comes. So if you come with us to Dubai, that would be even better.
We're both fascinated by Dubai. There's a lot happening there. I think it's going to be the center of the planet very soon.
It is
just with
for
all their
entrepreneurship.
innovation,
Yes,
entrepreneurship,
yes.
but also technology. I think they're investing to the amounts of like trillions of dollars in technology, and I think that's going to really just set that whole region on a whole new trajectory. It's going to be amazing over there.
Yes. So that's me.
So businessenergetics.com, lenkalutonska.com. I've just put it in the chat. If you're watching on live or watching a replay of the video on Facebook, it's in the chat there. And look up Lenka, buy the book, read it, consume it. Lenka's got some incredible insights. And if you are looking for that X factor within yourself, within your business, highly recommend. And just a bit of a fun fact. I first met Lenka in 2008 at the end of an NLP trainers training. Well, not at the end, at the beginning. And you got 100. You were one of the few students who got 100. I remember you got 100% on that written exam, and you decided to fly down to Australia to attend that training like 2 days before you jumped on that plane.
It's not that I decided. I just didn't have money.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I was looking for money, and it came like 2 days before.
That's so good.
Classic. And you got 100% on your written test. Which only like one or two students at that time would ever get 100%.
Yeah, there are 4 in the world, and one of them was Adriana.
That's right. And
yes.
and wow, so that's October 2008. So this has been a 17-year gap, and I'm so pleased to be able to share this reunion with Callum as well, and I just feel that there's a huge level of alignment here, and would love to have you back. In the future.
For sure. We only scratched the surface tonight.
I feel. I look. Yeah, it's gone so quick. We scratched the surface.
So quick.
I will love to stay in touch with you and talk more
Brilliant.
sales. There's a lot to talk about.
So much.
Please hang back because we'd love to quickly chat with you before we go.
Sure.
All right, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Good evening, good night, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.